is now claiming on social media that he is the reason ICE showed up at an Alston car wash earlier this month.
College Boston student calls ICE on a local car wash and it totally backfires. Why? There's a whole lot goes into it. This guy is a volunteer intern for the nearby local authorities in government office. And not only that, he's the president of the Boston University Republicans. But here's the kicker. He called ICE on a car wash for people that are supposedly not from here, allegedly. Meanwhile, guys, this guy is from London. He's not even from here. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Zach Siegel is the president of the Boston University College Republicans. We talked to him in September after Charlie Kirk was killed. Siegel is now claiming on social media that he is the reason ICE showed up at an Alston car wash earlier this month and hauled off 9 employees. Siegel posting on X, "I've been calling ICE for months on end. This week they finally responded to my request to detain these criminals. As someone who lives in the neighborhood, I've seen how American jobs are being given away to those with no right to be here. Pump up the numbers."
It's frankly appalling to see somebody that's proud of destroying an entire family, an entire community. These people, all 9 of them, no criminal records at all, yet he's referring to them as criminals.
Todd Pomerleau is the attorney who represents the 9 detainees, 5 women and 4 men. He says Siegel, who was born in London and schooled in the UK, according to the BU Athletics website, certainly can exercise his First Amendment rights here in the U.S. But Pomerleau finds his arguments ironic.
He's talked about how these jobs are being taken by 9 people working at a car wash. Well, he's taking up a college student seat who's from America by his same rationale.
The 9 workers were detained on the morning of November 4th. Pomerleau says many of them do hold legal status and valid work permits that they were never given a chance to produce.
They were grabbed and thrown in a van, never given any opportunity to explain who they were, where they're from.
Zach Siegel did not return our request for an interview or comment. The BU student is an intern for Republican candidate for governor Brian Shortsleeve, a strategist for the campaign, telling us tonight, "We don't answer for anyone else's social media but our own, especially not a volunteer intern." Brian has been clear that he supports enforcing our laws, including our immigration laws, and he supports due process. Now, Todd Pomerleau says that 4 men are being detained, and they are in Plymouth. 4 of the women are being held in Vermont. The 5th is in Texas. He says at least 5 will have a bond hearing next week. We did reach out to Boston University for comment tonight and did not get a response. We're live in Alston tonight. I'm Mary Saladna, WCVB News Center 5.
Look, Zach, man, I don't know you, man, but at the end of the day, man, you kind of sound like a hypocrite. You are calling ICE on, a local car wash. People are just going there to wash, all right? You're kind of throwing the whole business underneath the bus. They're going to be short on staff, right? You're doing some crazy stuff for what? You don't get any reward out of this at all. I don't see it. Your name on the map. You're doing it because you just don't like another group of people. You're doing it because you want to enforce laws. Even the volunteer intern program that you are a part of is not even trying to help support you at all. And not only that, you expose yourself. You're not even from here. You're from London, which to the same thinking or pattern of thinking that you were mad at someone else taking up a job that wasn't from here, but yet you're taking up a spot from a college in a country that you're not even from. So, man, please make it make sense, Zach, okay? I just don't get it. Where did that even come from?
Let me be bold. I am white. I have racist thoughts.
Racist thoughts?
Tonight there's frustration about racism at the University of New Hampshire.
New Hampshire? Same thing. Yeah, New Hampshire. Same thing. So have you experienced racism here in Boston at all or no?
I haven't, no.
Racist thought. Does that make them racist?
We all have racist, thoughts.
No, black people can't be racist.
Your opinion?
Because I'm black, it's racist. Would you consider black on black crime racist because you tried to run him over?
Hell yeah.
So we just asked the question about Zach. Where did that even come from? Is Boston that racist? Is the people there? That's the question, because there's the hanging quote unquote caption entitled that Boston has as it's being labeled the most racist city in America. Is that true? Let's go ahead and watch a couple more clips and we can talk about it some more.
Why do you hate Boston? Because they racist as fuck. That's why. They will say.
What's up, y'all? I'm Marcus. I'm a black Bostonian. spent all my life in either Dorchester, Roxbury, or Hyde Park, and I have some things to say about this video. The age-old question, is Boston a racist city? The short answer is yes, Boston is a racist city. Everybody knows that. Everybody here knows that. But where things get confusing is that I think that people are associating Boston's type of racist with the legacy in which Boston is known for. Which, to be fair, is also warranted because of how the city has treated previous black players, one of them being Bill Russell. The busing era and a lot of the modern day celebrities, such as Mark Wahlberg, participating in such acts, you can also look those up, also contribute to the city's image as a whole, since those celebrities are also deemed as the poster child for the city. That being said, regardless, Boston and New England as a whole has some of the most passionate, the craziest, wild fans, in my opinion, that if you ever go to a Red Sox game, that's how I feel about Boston fans. This is also why your legacy is very important. Because although black Bostonians in the modern era have not experienced things that black Bostonians have experienced in the 60s and 70s, that image is still there because of those things. Now, my experiences will also be different than other black Bostonians. One, because I'm a firstborn immigrant, and two, because I am also a light-skinned man. Light-skinned privilege is a big thing when it comes to racism, and it can create different experiences from black person to black person. I personally have had little to no experiences with direct racism, meaning verbal, physical acts of racism. But again, those experiences will be different from person to person. This also parallels why black Bostonians don't like to be from Boston. Celebrities have a lot of power in their words, and people listen to them and they take them for what they are. When LeBron James says that Boston is a racist city, that is what Boston will be to a lot of people that will never come here. There is a sense of embarrassment that comes with being a black Bostonian for a lot of people, because whenever you step outside the city and tell somebody that you're from Boston, their first words are, there's black people in Boston, and is Boston racist? And they'll be from like Alabama all of a sudden want to know what racism looks like. Let me know if you agree, like, share, comment. I love you guys. Thank you.
As I do give credit, Boston has a lot of great fans for their sports. Their local sports teams, man, the fanmanship coming out of Boston is just unlike no other. I see that, and I'm not even from there. You can honestly say, hey, look, man, y'all love y'all sports, but man, do y'all love all the Bostonians in general the same? All right. Is the city divided by race, color, ethnicity? Let me know. Let me know. So you're saying this man has secondhand embarrassment when he goes other places because as a black man, he doesn't even, people don't even think that there is black people in Boston. So it's like, dude, the question still hangs over, is Boston racist? So the next clip is coming from a girl. She describes being black in Boston. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Boston is racist, but you never know it until you catch on. In Boston, you're never really gonna experience outright racism where somebody's like in your face screaming rah rah rah. That's not gonna happen. But what is gonna happen is you may be walking up the street and you're coming face to face with somebody and they don't move. Or you might be walking up an escalator or something and they bump into you as if you're not there, like you're just made of glass. Or, okay, you're at work and you're kind of always painted out to be aggressive, or like you just don't know what you're talking about and you're delusional. Or, okay, hear me out. Or, this is a popular one. You go into a restaurant where this is all that's in there, and you just get stares because they're confused on why you're here. You don't belong there. Why would you have the audacity to step foot in this establishment. Yeah, that's what living in Boston is like.
Well, this is super, super, super crazy because, man, not only that, man, it's almost just like we go back to them, Boston being proud, having proud fans of their sports organizations. But you got to think those sports organizations, some of those superstars are black, right? You're talking about Boston Celtics, right? You're talking about all of that, Jason Tatum, you're talking about Jaylen Brown, you're talking about all these superstars on the basketball team. Then you go to the football team if you really want to jump in there. There's tons and tons of players on the Boston basketball, and we haven't got anywhere else. Even if you just take into account those two teams, how is it that we can show them love and support them, but shun or kind of look away from the local, minorities, to be honest with you? That's crazy to me.
Not only is it a popular city and thus gets a lot of attention for how racist it is, it's racist in a way that's like demographically unique. Because Boston is a majority white city, for 44%-ish white, but it's also over 20% black. And most cities that are that majority white or more white are far less black. If you look at Portland, Seattle, Denver, San Diego, other maybe like northern Midwest cities, they're very white, probably more white than Boston, or as white as Boston, and a lot less black. On the East Coast, all the cities are generally more black. So like Philly and Baltimore, their largest demographic is black. Washington, D.C. New York City proper has the same black percentage as Boston. It's 21%-ish, but it's less white, right? So there's this unique thing that happens in Boston. It's more white than the cities in the area, the other cities in that general area of the country, and it's more black than all the other cities that would otherwise be like really white. And that tension of the city being white but also pretty black is why I think people feel it so strongly when they go there. You're not going to feel the same level of racial tension or hear about the same level of racial tension in cities that just don't have a lot of black people. Like there's not a history of tension there to sort of like glean from the culture around you. So when people think about Boston, they think about it as if it were like Denver or Seattle or Portland, but it's not. It's systemically, institutionally still segregated. And that is decades and decades, if not centuries in the making. It is by design. Everybody thinks about Boston as this, like, as the, rich white people strolling around on the waterfront for a reason. Black people have been segregated out of that space and always have been. And it is like, had this unique ability to keep it that way. It is someone pointed out it's like a very classist city. And I think that's true, especially with the like elitist educational thing that goes on there. And also just, again, the elitism of like, we're this liberal, progressive place that doesn't have to do any of the actual work to be liberal and progressive institutionally across the city. And so it's not the like actual demographics of the city are not represented in the way that New York and Philly and Baltimore and DC and these other places are. Like, you get a sense of who lives in that city because of what comes out of it, the culture that blossoms out of it. All of those cities are systemically, institutionally racist because they're in the United States. But their minority cultures and their black cultures are allowed to thrive in a way that Boston has managed to really suppress. And they don't just suppress the people there. Everybody who comes in and visits feels it. That's why a lot of people in the comments will say, like, I could just, like, feel it. Like, it's, like, not always overt, although often it is, of course. But, like, there is this just sense that it's just, like, something's not right. And the fact that that gets erased from what people think about when they think about Boston is on purpose. That's what the city has designed itself to be. Where it's located in the country, there are different expectations for cities in that place than if you go to the Pacific Northwest or Southern California, right? So yeah, that's part of the cognitive dissonance of Boston, is that it's probably less white than you think demographically and more black, but the actual output of the city is this elitist, white, classist, ruling class vibe that has persisted throughout other cities, making far bigger progress, far better progress. And that attitude and that elitism seeps into the city. The white people in Boston get to be the culture creators in Boston, and that's a huge fucking problem. That's why people experience what they experience when they visit there.
One might say that the majority of white people in Boston would find themselves elite, not only because they're sports or they're winning, but just all the rich history that Boston has, okay? And a lot of that has to probably do with, the original foundations of America. We're talking way back in the day, man, like Pilgrim days at this point, man. And they just feel like they're a part of that. Not only that, you have the great schools in the area, you have politicians in the area, and it just makes them feel like they could be better than the rest. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's how I look. Like, you're from this area, they're rich in education, they're rich in sports, they're this, they're that. To be honest with you, I think it's getting to their head. Yeah, I really think it is. And it's really nice to see that there is, it's not everybody, of course, but yeah, man, it's just unfortunate. I've never been to Boston. Actually, I want to go to Boston just because, everything's on the list. I want to try to visit a lot of the major cities. It's always on my bucket list to visit other cities. But do y'all think, from what y'all seen today, or heard today, or even visited in Boston, if you have been to Boston, please let me know in the comments. Are they really racist? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.